They call Nevada's Highway 50 America's loneliest road for a reason. Miles of empty asphalt, old mining towns that look abandoned even when people still live in them, and a silence so thick it presses against your ribs. My name's Evan Carter, 32, long-haul driver, and I've crossed that damn highway more times than I care to count. I've seen mirages, busted tires, desert storms. Nothing surprised me anymore. Until last winter. I was returning from a delivery run in Ely, headed west toward Fallon. It was early December, temperature dropping fast, the kind of night where the air feels sharp enough to cut. Around 12:30 a.m., with the road dead silent and my FM radio fading into static, I saw her. A girl standing alone on the shoulder. Thin frame, black hoodie, jeans torn at the knees, long dark hair whipping in the wind. At first, I honestly thought she was a mannequin. People dump weird shit in the desert. But her arm moved, stiff and slow, like she wasn't sure she wanted to wave. No phone light, no car nearby, no footprints except hers, and nobody stands out here voluntarily, not at this hour. I slowed down, rolled the passenger window a few inches. "You okay?" I called out. She stepped closer. The dome light caught her face, pale, like she'd been freezing for hours, and her eyes looked swollen like she had cried until nothing came out. "Please," her voice cracked. "I need to get home." Everything in me screamed, "Don't do this." But I'm not the kind of man who leaves someone to die on a frozen road. "Where you headed?" I asked. "Carson City." "That's hours away. What happened to your car?" She didn't answer, just kept staring at the empty road behind her like she expected something to crawl out of the darkness. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door. She climbed in without saying a word and curled her hands around the heater vents. "I'm Evan," I said, trying to break the silence. Nothing. She just stared out the window, her breath shaky. Her clothes were bone dry. Strange, considering the snow flurries had picked up. After about 10 minutes, I glanced in the rearview mirror. She wasn't in the seat. I literally slammed the brakes. Dust flew. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out the truck engine. She was gone, as in, not there. I whipped around in my seat. The back was empty. I opened the door and stepped outside, yelling into the desert wind like an idiot. "Hello? Hello?" No answer. No footprints. No dragging marks. Nothing. Just the sound of my own breath going wild. I finally forced myself back inside the truck. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the keys. Maybe I hallucinated her. Maybe exhaustion was kicking in. I'd done long hauls before and seen weird shadows dance on the road. But then I saw it. The passenger seat belt was buckled. I hadn't seen her buckle it. Hell, I hadn't heard it click. And worse, a small, wet handprint on the inside of the rear window, about the size of a teenage girl's. My chest tightened. No, no, nope. I threw the truck into gear and kept driving because staying in one place felt like asking to die. The silence in the cab felt heavier than before. The snow got thicker, blurring the road until the world outside was just white and shadow. I turned the radio up. Static. Tried my phone. No service. Of course. 20 minutes later, something whispered. Not outside, not in the wind, inside the cab. It came from behind me, soft, like someone breathing close to my ear. "Don't let him find me." I froze, my throat locked up. I couldn't even turn to look. "Please," the voice trembled, "don't stop the truck." My entire spine was ice. I gripped the wheel and forced the courage to move my eyes toward the mirror. And she was sitting in the back seat again, head down, hair covering her face, knees pulled to her chest. "Jesus Christ!" I yelled, nearly swerving off the road. She didn't react, didn't look up, just kept whispering the same thing, barely audible. "Don't let him find me. Don't let him find me." I swallowed hard. "Who? Who's looking for you?" No answer, just that rocking motion, gentle at first, then faster. Her breath clouded the cold air inside the truck. And then she lifted her head slightly, just enough for me to see that her lips were trembling like she wanted to scream but couldn't. I slowed down. "I can't keep driving blind. There's a rest stop coming up." The second I said it, her voice snapped. "No!" It was a shriek that hit the roof of the cab. Her eyes, when she finally looked up, were a washed-out gray, the pupils blown wide like she'd seen something so terrifying it hollowed her out. "He's waiting there. You can't stop." I felt something colder than fear settle in my stomach. "Who?" I whispered. "Who's waiting?" Her mouth opened, but instead of words, she vanished again. Not like someone ducking or sliding off the seat. She just blinked out of existence. A soft thump echoed as if something brushed the outside of the truck. I jerked the wheel, scanning the mirrors, my pulse a hammer. And then I saw it. A figure on the side of the road. Tall, shoulders too broad, standing in the glow of my headlights like he'd been waiting for me to pass. And he wasn't facing the road. He was facing me. His face blurred by the snow, his clothes dark, soaked, heavy, hands hanging loose by his sides. But I could see his eyes, bright, reflective, like an animal's. He lifted a hand slowly and pointed at my truck. The girl's whisper came again, faint, fading. "Please, keep going." I floored the gas. The truck roared forward, tires spitting slush. I didn't look back. I didn't even breathe until the figure disappeared into the storm. By the time I reached Austin, Nevada, my hands were so numb I could barely shift gears. I pulled into the only lit gas station and stumbled out, chest tight, lungs burning. The attendant, a guy in his 50s, watched me with narrowed eyes. "You look like you saw a ghost out there," he said. I didn't answer, but he kept staring, then nodded slowly. "You picked up a girl, didn't you?" My stomach dropped. How the hell do you know that?" He sighed like he'd been expecting me. "Because you're not the first." The gas station door rattled behind me as the desert wind pushed in. The attendant, his name tag said Rick, watched me like he already knew what horrors were clinging to my back. "You picked up the girl," he said again. I swallowed hard. Dark hoodie, long hair, crying. He nodded once, slow, heavy. "Yeah, that's her." I leaned onto the counter, trying to breathe normally. Who the hell is she? And what was that thing on the road? Rick didn't rush. He grabbed a styrofoam cup, filled it with burnt coffee, and slid it toward me. "You're shaking. Drink." The coffee was scorching, but I didn't care. The warmth steadied my hands just enough to keep listening. Rick pulled a chair from behind the counter and sat down like he was settling into a familiar story. "She was real once," he said. "Name was Lena Holloway, 17 years old, lived in Carson City." The name hit me like a cold slap. "Was?" He nodded. "She ran away with a guy. Nobody knows his real name, but locals nicknamed him the Miner. Big man, gray eyes, always wearing heavy work clothes, looked like he still crawled out of old mine shafts." My skin crawled. Gray eyes, heavy clothes, standing on the road pointing at me. Rick continued. "He was bad news. She tried to leave him. He didn't let her." The silence that followed was heavy enough to bend steel. "They found her car abandoned on Highway 50, Rick said. Door still open, tracks showing she ran, but something dragged her back. People searched for days. Nothing." "But I saw her," I said. My voice cracked around the edges. "She sat in my truck. She talked to me." "You saw what's left of her," Rick replied. "She shows up on nights like this, cold, windy, empty roads, trying to get home, trying to get away from him." My heart sank. "So she's stuck out there forever?" Rick didn't answer immediately. He wiped his hands on a rag and looked around the empty station like he expected someone or something to walk in. "She's not the only one on that road," he said finally. "He's out there too, still hunting her, still dragging her back." A chill ripped up my spine. "But the girl told me not to stop at the rest stop," I said, "that he would be there." Rick tapped the counter. "Yeah, that's usually where he finds her." I stared at him, breath caught in my throat. "So what do I do now? She disappeared twice. That thing on the road followed me." "Which way you headed?" he cut in. "Carson City." Rick hesitated. "Then you're not done. Not yet." Before I could ask what he meant, the door chime jingled. Both of us turned. Nobody was there, just a gust of freezing wind curling across the floor. Rick stood up and reached under the counter. For a moment, I thought he was grabbing a gun. Instead, he placed an old silver key in front of me. "What's this?" I asked. "A marker," he said. "Belonged to her. Sheriff found it in her coat pocket after a search in 09. Said it unlocked her family's cabin outside Carson." "Why are you giving it to me?" Rick's voice went quiet. "Because she only appears to people who can take her the rest of the way." My fingers tightened around the key. I'm not equipped for this. I'm just a truck driver." Rick shook his head. "Tonight, you're the only one she trusts." A dull thump hit the side of the building. Rick's eyes snapped toward the window. Another thump, louder. "Get in your truck. Now." I backed toward the door. My pulse hammered in my ears. "Rick?" He didn't look at me. "He knows she talked to you. He knows you saw her." A third thump shook the glass. This one felt deliberate, heavy, slow, like a fist the size of a dinner plate. I ran. Out the door, across the cold asphalt, and into my truck. I fired the engine, tires skidding over gravel as I tore out of the station lot. The headlights flashed across the building, and I saw it. A mass of shadow sliding along the wall, stooped, broad, dragging something behind it. I didn't stick around to see what. Highway 50 opened in front of me like a dark vein slicing through the desert. I drove fast, too fast, but fear had my foot locked on the gas. After 10 minutes, the cab temperature dropped sharply. I could see my breath again. She was back. Her form flickered in the rear seat, like she was struggling to stay visible. "Lena?" I whispered. She lifted her head. Those hollow gray eyes met mine in the mirror. "You left the station," she said softly. "He was there," I replied. "He almost got in." She shivered. "He always finds me." "Not tonight," I said, though my voice sounded a lot braver than I felt. "I'm taking you home." Her eyes widened. "Home?" I held up the silver key. "Your key. Rick said—" She stared at it like it was something sacred. Her voice cracked. "That's my mother's cabin." "Then that's where we're going." For the first time since I saw her, her expression softened. A tiny breath of relief escaped her lips. But then her face twisted with fear. "You have to hurry," she whispered. "He knows you have the key." I pressed harder on the gas. Snow hammered the windshield. The truck rattled in the wind like something was clawing at the trailer. Suddenly, the radio crackled, pure static at first, then a voice breaking through. "Not yours." I froze. The girl froze. "She stays with me." The voice was deep, broken, like it bubbled up through mud. "Shut up," I muttered, slamming the radio button off. But the voice kept going. "Truck won't make it." The wheel jerked hard to the right. I fought it, muscles burning, knuckles white. Something outside was pushing my truck, shoving it, trying to force me off the road. Lena screamed, covering her ears. "Don't listen to him!" I gritted my teeth and yanked the wheel left. The truck fishtailed but stayed on the asphalt. In the mirror, he was there, running behind us. Not human running, something faster, arms swinging wide, feet slamming the ground so hard the road vibrated. And his eyes, those reflective gray orbs, locked straight onto us. "He's getting closer," she cried. My chest tightened, but I forced my voice steady. "Tell me how to stop him." "You can't," she sobbed. "But you can outrun him." I floored the gas. The speedometer climbed. 55, 60, 70. The truck roared across the empty plains. Wind howled. Snow blurred the edges of the world. Then, a wooden sign appeared in the headlights. Carson Ridge, 12 miles. Lena gasped. "That's it! That's where my cabin is!" Behind us, the figure let out a sound that pierced the air like metal tearing. I didn't look back. I kept my eyes locked on that sign and the cabin lights that flickered faintly in the distance. We were almost there, almost safe. Or so I thought.